What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 17, Stephen Thompson versus Jeff Neal. And this card is stacked, and not just from the fights being great and all that, but we have 14 fights on this card. Was supposed to be 15, but Bilal Muhammad had to pull out due to, I believe, he got COVID, which sucks. But 14 fights nonetheless. Hopefully these 14 stay on the card all the way up till fight time. I know we've had some issues with COVID and guys with weight cutting issues and all that. So hopefully we stay with 14. And it's a pretty good card overall. I really like the main event, co-main event, Jose Aldo on the card. Some fun fights scattered out, some prospects as well. So yeah, it should be fun. Should be a really fun card. Looking to bounce back from last week, and last week's card was it was a weird card. I mean, I personally went 2, 3, and 1 on my bets for minus 1.4 units on the night. If one of those close decisions would have went my way, the Figueiredo or the Jandiroba would have been a profitable night, but a small loss nonetheless. And it feels like it should have been such a bigger loss than that, because it seems like everything was going wrong. And I didn't bet on anything, but just seeing like Ferguson get 30-26 across the board, like that was just a weird night. And then the draw, the point taken away from the one nut shot without a warning. It was a weird card. Tisha Torres with the first round KO. Come on. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to bounce back, ending up on a positive note for 2020 on this card. I have 4 bets already, and probably gonna have a lot more than that, because there are a lot of spots that stick out on this card, and I just really want to end 2020 strong here. So some announcements I do want to make are, first of all, there will be no live stream on Friday. I'm moving that to Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not able to make it, it'll be there for the next couple days, all the way up till fight time. So check it out. If you can make it, I would appreciate that a bunch. And it is going to be because I'm heading to Florida for the Titan FC event. That is going to be on Thursday, and I'll be in Florida till Saturday, so won't be able to make the live stream. So it's going to move to Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then what I'm thinking about doing is, after the weigh-ins, I'll be posting a video. Of course, I'll always be posting my betting breakdown. So I'll still be getting all that extra content out, but the live stream will be on Wednesday. The next thing is, I want to shout out Chris Warner. I did that contest for the Significant Strikes. He guessed 256. 256. The correct answer was 269. He got the closest. So Chris, if you're listening, drop that PayPal, drop that Cash App. I'll get you your winnings there. I did do a contest on my Twitter. Already got him his winnings, and then we'll talk about the DraftKings contest on my DraftKings video as well. So just I might do another contest this week, so make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. Holidays are coming up. Feel like being very generous, so probably do another contest on Saturday as well. And other than that, I just want to say thank you guys so much. So we're approaching 9,000 subscribers, really close. Probably by the time a lot of you guys are watching this, it'll be 9,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for everybody that signed up on the Patreon. Almost 100 people over this last month signed up. It really helps me out a ton. Helps me do this full time. Helps me put 120% effort into this, all my time into it. And just, yeah, appreciate that a bunch. So if you do want to sign up on the Patreon, get my early bets, my betting breakdown videos. Those are all posted already. I have 4 bets, I believe. My model with all the stats, my article, all the good stuff, access to Discord where we talk fights and all that. The link will be in the description below. And again, just want to say thank you all for signing up as always. So enough of that. Let's get into the fights. And yeah, this video is going to be fairly long because we have 14 fights. So the timestamps will be available in the description as always. And we're going to start with the first fight of the night. And we have Rick Glenn versus Carlton Minus. Rick Glenn is 31 years old, 6 foot, 70.5-inch reach, 21-6-1, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Carlton Minus is going to be 27 years old, 5'10", 74-inch reach, 10-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So I believe Rick Glenn's coming up to 155 here, and I believe Minus is coming down to 155. So very interesting there. And Glenn, it's important to note that Glenn is coming off of a little bit of a layoff, and he did have some type of hip surgery or something like that, a hip injury. So something to note there. And taking a look at the odds, we have Carlton Minus at plus 265 and Rick Glenn at minus 325. Rick Glenn opened up at minus 375. So a little bit of money coming in on Carlton Minus. And yeah, I remember Minus from his last fight. So this was really weird. On fight week last time when he fought Matthew Simelsberger, he opened up at minus 365 for no reason, dropped all the way down to minus 125, closed around like a minus 125 favorite. Simelsberger opened up at plus 255. That line was It was ridiculous, and I didn't get the jump on it. I did bet Simonsberger at like plus, I want to say plus 115, something like that, plus 115, plus 120. But regardless, like that line was crazy, and Simonsberger went in there. He looked really good. Minus did not look so good. The thing about Minus is coming off that Alaska fight scene, which is it's not that great. And just watching tape on him, just very underwhelmed. The dude has really no power. Poor takedown defense. Simonsberger was able to take him down a couple times. And this is such a winnable fight for Rick Land. If he was not coming off this kind of injury and layoff, I feel like he'd be like minus 500 legitly. But since he is coming off the injury, moving camps, there are some question marks. I can understand why it's around that minus 300 range. But I do like Rick Land to get it done. I think he can win just based off of pressure alone. I think the small cage is going to favor a guy like Rick Land. Minus is somebody who wants to stay on the outside, outpoint his opponents, and Rick Land's not going to let him do that, especially in the small cage. Rick Land doesn't have the best takedown accuracy in the world. I think it's like 13%. He was able to take Gavin Tucker down like 4 times, but I think if he wants to, and I think it'd be smart to, take down Carlton minus here, I think he will get those takedowns. So I'm going to take Rick Land to win by decision. I would not be overly shocked if he was able to finish a Carlton minus. Minus has been submitted before, but I'm going to take Rick Land to win by decision. Decent parlay piece. And there's not many parlay pieces on the card. I really like Bilal Muhammad as a parlay piece, but it sucks that that fight is off. Getting into the next fight, and this is a fight I'm really looking forward to, a fight we were supposed to see 2 weeks ago, and that was Jimmy Flick versus Cody Durden. And Flick is 30 years old, 5'6", 70.5-inch reach. Flick is 15-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Cody Durden is 29 years old, 5'7", 67-inch reach. 11-2-1 and 3-1 in his last 5 fights. So taking a look at the odds, and so Durden is plus 130, Flick is minus 150. Flick opened up at minus 145, and I do think those odds are right. And I mean, last time I was on Flick, so I'm probably going to be on him here again, and I do like him here a lot, especially after the second weight cut of Durden, which I do think is going to be I don't want to say a big red flag, but it definitely is a little bit of a concern that Durden's going to cut down weight again to 125 like he did just a few weeks back. So I do really want to see Durden on the scales. And the reason I picked Flick, and I broke it down a couple weeks ago, but just watching tape on Durden, I saw him in one fight. He got taken down like 4 or 5 times in one round. He slowed down really bad against Chris Gutierrez. I know he came in that fight on short notice, so made a good account for himself, and I did bet him in that fight actually. Gave Gutierrez a 10-8 round. Or he got a 10-8 round against Chris Gutierrez, and then ended up slowing down after that. Chris Gutierrez was able to take him down in the fight as well. And just watching tape on Durden, what I noticed a lot is that he goes for takedowns in pretty much every fight he's in, which is interesting because if he goes for takedowns here against Flick, I think he's playing with fire for sure. And as for Flick, there's huge red flags. I mean, I can understand why people are definitely betting on Durden, and it's because of the glaring issues in his striking defense, his striking in general. Flick's been knocked out like 4 times. His chin is very, very questionable, and if Durden can keep this on the feet, maybe he can get a knockout here. I do think he has some solid power, but I see this fight touching the mat one way or another, whether it is Durden taking the fight down to the mat, or whether it is Flick getting the fight down to the mat as well, because I believe he can. And once he does, it's going to be Flick's world. I think he's going to get a submission on Cody Durden here. I think Flick's going to have the better cardio. I really am concerned about that double weight cut for Cody Durden. Cutting down to 125 and within a span of a couple weeks. It's not really a good look. So give me Jimmy Flick to get it done by first round submission. Really looking forward to that fight a ton. Next fight here, and I'm looking forward to seeing this, man. Tafon and Chukwu versus Jamie Pickett. And Nchukwu is 26 years old, 6 foot, 77-inch reach, 4-0, obviously 4-0 in his last 5 fights. Jamie Pickett is 32 years old, 6'2", 80-inch reach, 11-4 and 4-1 in his last 2 fights. Taking a look at the odds, Nchukwu is minus 300 and Pickett is plus 250 here. So really big favorite for Nchukwu, one of the biggest favorites on the card, opened up to minus 290. And I really like him in this spot. The only concern for me would be he is really low output, but when he lands, he hits like an absolute truck. What I was looking for in tape for Nchukwu was this dude's takedown defense. How was his takedown defense? And it definitely checked out. He stuffed pretty much every takedown I saw. William Knight, when he fought William Knight, he was able to stuff some takedowns. I was able to knock out William Knight, somebody who's in the UFC, made a good account for himself against Alexa Kamer. And yeah, I mean, this dude looks legit. He's what is he, 26 years old. I think he has still a lot of room for improvement. Only 4 MMA fights. Pickett's obviously the more experienced guy. And a lot of Pickett's fights, he's trying to take fights down to the mat. I don't know if he's going to take down Nchukwi here. The interesting thing here is that this fight is going to be at 185. I want to say this is Nchukwi's first fight at 185. I know he fought at 205, and I believe he fought at heavyweight before as well. I had one fight at heavyweight, so it's going to be very interesting to see him on the scales because this dude is jacked at 205. He has last weight, he weighed in at 204. I'm curious to see if this dude can make weight because he is jacked. So look out for the weigh-ins there, but yeah, I'm going to take Nchukwi here. I think he's going to knock out Pickett. The interesting thing about Pickett is he has never been knocked out before, but man, there's a first time for everything, and Chukwu definitely hits like an absolute truck. So I think he's going to knock out Pickett here. It's hard to see a path to victory for Pickett. I don't see him taking down Nchukwu. Would it be like staying to the outside, outpointing Nchukwu, throwing more volume? He could, but I think in the smaller cage, it's going to be easier said than done. I think Nchukwu's going to catch him and knock him out here. Give me a first-round knockout for Nchukwu. And there are some concerns about his cardio, and somebody in my Discord said that he could be the next Kosuke, and I don't know. I saw him in the second round before. He looked fresh. He looked good. So I don't think he's a Kosuke or nothing like that. So I think he'll be fine. And if anything, I think Pickett has the questionable cardio as well. So give me Nchukwu to win in the first round by KO TKO. All right, don't really have a really good read on this fight, but it should be a fun one. Draco Rodriguez, 24 years old, 5'9", 69.5-inch reach, 7-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Ayman Zahabi is 33 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 7-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So Rodriguez is going to be the guy that's 9 years younger. And it's interesting with Zahabi, watching tape on him, had a decent UFC debut. He got outlanded by like 20-something strikes, but did get a knockdown in that fight. I think that won him the fight there. His next fight against Ramos, he got knocked out by this vicious spinning back elbow. And the fight after that against Vince Morales, he just looked so different. I mean, he looked so different, so timid. He was very low volume. I don't really like that about him. I think Rodriguez is going to be probably throwing a more volume, or at least being the more active fighter, going for takedowns. In this fight, it just seems like it's so close. And the line doesn't really indicate that. So Rodriguez is -190 and Zahabi is +165. I know Zahabi looked really bad in his last fight against Morales. I mean, it's when you're losing against Morales, it's really not a good sign there. But I don't think Rodriguez is all that proven as of yet. And he opened up at -245, and that's so wide there. So many is coming on Drake on the Zahabi side, and rightfully so. I feel like this could be very close. One way to look at this fight, I think it's very interesting. The fight doesn't go to decision line is like +165. I think that's kind of interesting because both guys have lost by knockout once. Zahabi's been knocked out. He lost by decision as well. So, and then Zahabi has an 86% finish rate, and Rodriguez has a 73% finish rate. So I can actually see this maybe finishing inside the distance. But to pick a winner here, I'm going to slightly pick Rodriguez, just the fighter being more active. But man, this fight is so close. And I really want nothing to do with it from a betting perspective, especially at like -190 where he's at now. All right. So I'm going to pick Rodriguez to win by decision. All right, so really looking forward to this fight. And we have Antonio Hoyo versus Duran Nguyen. Hoyo is going to be 31 years old, 6'3", 73.5-inch reach, 9-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Duran Nguyen, 31 years old, 5'6", 70-inch reach, 6-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So, important thing to note right in the stats there. I mean, Arroyo is going to be, 9 inches taller and is going to have a 3.5-inch reach advantage there, which I do think is very important in this fight. We'll take a look at the odds. And Hoyo is -155, opened up -150, and Duran Nguyen is +135, opened up at +120. And I really like Hoyo in this spot, and I really digged deep into this fight. I watched pretty much every single one of Nguyen's fights there because I thought it was really interesting that coming into the UFC against Eric Spicely, I really expected him to go more towards his wrestling because we know him as a wrestler, and he went out there and didn't take down Spicely at all, which was really interesting, and he just struck with Spicely for 15 minutes, which had a bunch of success, but remind you, that's Eric Spicely there. The fight after that against Darren Stewart, Went out there and took down Darren Stewart a couple times. Pretty close fight there. Was able to edge out a decision with his wrestling and takedowns there. And the fight after that did not go out there with a wrestling heavy game plan against Gerald Meerschaert, somebody that has literally a 15% takedown defense, which is interesting as well. Because I came to the conclusion that I think he doesn't have much confidence in his ground game. Because Eric Spice, I believe he has a black belt, dangerous on the mat. Obviously, Gerald Meerschaert, very dangerous on the mat. He did not try to take those two down. Watching tape on him prior to the UFC, he didn't use his wrestling as much as I thought. And there'd be times where he'd knock his opponents down and refuse to go down to the mat with them. So I'm kind of curious to if he's not really comfortable going down to the mat, if he doesn't think his jiu-jitsu is up to par or something. And watching tape on Hoyo, he actually has some pretty solid jiu-jitsu, but he's definitely a fantastic striker. And watching tape on the Muniz fight, Muniz was able to get him down a couple times, and I thought, he made a good account of himself in that fight. Staying safe from Andre Muniz, not getting submitted and messing around on the ground with him. I think that's very, very impressive to me because Muniz is an absolute wizard. And just watching tape, prior to the UFC on Hoyo, he has some pretty good submissions on his record. So I actually think he has a really good ground game. He's finished 44% of his wins by submission, 44% by knockout, for an 88% finish rate overall. And I don't know what belt he is in BJJ. I can't even tell you what belt he is, but he looks legit on the mat. He really does. But he has been submitted twice before, but he definitely patched it up. If you're getting submitted twice before and not getting submitted by Andre Muniz, he definitely made some improvements in that. And, this dude is going to be huge. And something I do want to point out, which I think is probably the biggest point to point out here, is going to be this is at a catch weight at 195. And I do think that favors Hoyo a ton. He's going to be the much, much, much bigger guy in there. This is someone that does struggle to cut weight down to 185. And Duran Nguyen is someone that should be fighting at 3 weight classes lower. I mean, the dude's 5'6", so I do think that's a big advantage for Hoyo. And we have seen Hoyo slow down. We saw him slow down in the Muniz fight. And I do think that since this is a catch weight, he's not going to be killing himself to make that weight. I do think it's going to help out his gas tank. I just think it's a big advantage for him. And I just think he has more paths to victory than win here. I think if this stays on the feet, he has very good leg kicks, very good body kicks, very good head kicks, very, very good power as well. I watched a fight with Nguyen on the regional scene where he took a hard leg kick and the dude almost fell. He did not like it, and Hoyo's going to kick his legs, and he's going to kick him hard here. And then if Nguyen wants to take down Hoyo, I've also seen fights where Nguyen gets himself in very, very bad positions. I saw him almost get guillotined by somebody on the regional scene, and I think Hoyo would be somebody that could finish that choke. And then we also saw him get submitted by Gerald Meerschaert as well. So if he wants to take down Hoyo in this fight, he could be playing with fire there too. So I just think there's more paths to victory for Hoyo in this fight. I don't see Nguyen out-volume on the feet, especially with a big height and reach disadvantage. Could Nguyen come out here and take down Hoyo and control him for 3 rounds? I don't know. It just seems he's going to be so much smaller, and Hoyo does have a legit ground game, a legit get-up game. So, yeah, I like Hoyo here quite a bit for all those reasons. I'm going to pick him to win by... I'm going to say he knocks him out. I'm going to say he knocks out Duran Nguyen here. I'm going to say early in the first round. I don't think he's UFC caliber. I really don't. He's been so unimpressive in the UFC thus far, and he really has to prove to me something because, man, has he looked not so great. So give me a Hoyo to win here by first round knockout. I think Hoyo's pretty legit, honestly. Next we have Carl Roberson versus Dolce Langambula. Dolce champion here. And Roberson is 30 years old, 6'1", 74-inch reach, 9-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Dolce is 35 years old, 5'8", so he's going to be at a 3 or 4 inch height disadvantage. 76-inch reach, going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. 10-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, Dolce is going to be a pretty big underdog, which I don't necessarily agree with. Plus 215. Roberson's going to be minus 255 here. Opened up minus 245. And pretty simple here. I'm going to go with Carl Roberson just because he's going to be throwing a lot more volume. And I really do like Dolce. I mean, the dude's absolutely jacked. And I believe, his last fight he fought Ankalaev at 205. So this is going to be at 185. And this is someone who is huge. I don't know how he's going to make 185 here. I really don't. So I do want to see the weigh-ins for that. But I'll believe it when I see it because, man, it looks like he struggles to make 205. So really want to see the weigh-ins. I just don't like the amount of low output for Dolce. He does have some decent power, but I don't believe Roberson's ever been knocked out. Roberson has been submitted 3 times, and I definitely don't see Dolce submitting him. I can see Dolce taking down Roberson, but Roberson's going to have the better ground game. I do think he can get up or even sweep and get on top of Dolce. I just think Roberson has more paths to victory. Can Dolce catch Roberson and knock him out? Maybe. But like I said, Roberson's never been knocked out. For that reason, I'm going to pick him to win by decision here, just outpointing him, throwing more volume. I think he's the better overall fighter. But yeah, Dolce is a very dangerous guy. So Roberson by decision. Interesting fight here. We have Sihara Eubanks versus Pani Kianzad, and Eubanks is 35 years old, 5'4", 67-inch reach, 6-5, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Kianzad is 29 years old, 5'7", 66-inch reach, 13-5, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds, Eubanks is minus 160, open up at minus 145, so some money is coming in on her a little bit. Kianzad is plus 140. And yeah, I think this fight's going to be really close. Yeah, watching tape, Kianzad's takedown defense looks pretty good, and I do think that the takedown defense aspect of it's going to be very important in this fight. 92% so far in the UFC. She has stuffed a decent amount of takedowns, and if Eubanks is not able to get down Kianzad, I do think Kianzad's going to have major success here. But if Eubanks is able to get Kianzad down even once, I do think she's going to spend the rest of the time on top, because seeing Kianzad on her back, I've seen her slip once or twice, and off her back, like, it's not great. I mean, she's still young, she's still improving, but I do think she needs to make some major improvements in that ground game. She has been submitted twice as well. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take the underdog here. I think this is going to be a very close fight. I can see Eubanks maybe getting a first round takedown and edging out that round. Kianzad coming back and winning rounds 2 and round 3 with volume. I think she's going to be throwing more volume. I think she's going to have the better gas tank. And Eubanks is notorious for that bad gas tank and slowing down. But I'll tell you what, it has looked a lot better as of late. I think she's really focusing on working on that cardio, working on not being so tired in the later rounds. But I'm going to say Kianzad stuffs the majority of the takedowns, keeps it on the feet for the majority of the time, wins rounds 2 and rounds 3, and wins a very close decision. I was looking at maybe betting Kianzad, but man, after going deeper into it, I think if she gets taken down, she's going to be in a world of trouble, and just not something I want to lay my money on. So I'm going to slightly edge with the underdog here in Kianzad. Just not overly confident in it, really. All right, so this fight is very, very interesting as well. We have Anthony Pettis versus Alex Morono. And Anthony Pettis is 33 years old, 5'10", 72.5-inch reach, 23-10, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Alex Morono is 30 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 18-6, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So I do want to get into the stats a little bit because I do think they're important for this fight. So Alex Morono does land 5.32 significant strikes per minute with a 43% accuracy. He absorbs 3.74 significant strikes per minute with a 58% striking defense. Pettis lands 3.04 significant strikes per minute with a 46% accuracy, and he absorbs 3.52 significant strikes per minute with a 53% striking defense. So Pettis is absorbing more than he's giving out. And this is interesting as well. So Alex Morono, I talked about in his last fight against Reese McKee. The dude has some solid wrestling, has a very solid ground game. He's a black belt in BJJ, but he just doesn't use his wrestling all that much. And I said in the McKee fight that I didn't think he was going to go to that wrestling because, well, he never has in the UFC so far. He went out there and took down Reese McKee a couple times, which I loved to see that. That was awesome. And if he's smart, man, you got to start going for more takedowns, start using that ground game. I think go for takedowns here against Pettis. I think that would be huge. And, Pettis does have a 49% takedown defense. And I do want to look at the odds because I think these odds are insane. I don't know what it is. Pettis minus 230. That makes absolute no sense to me. Morono is plus 190. I mean, Pettis is a fan favorite and all. Nobody knows who Alex Morono is, but you got to admit, like, Pettis has not been looking all that great, especially at 170. I thought he lost his last fight against Conor McGregor. I watched it back. I gave Conor rounds 1 and rounds 2, and I thought round 3 was really close. I thought Pettis edged out round 3, and I honestly think Pettis should be 1-4 in his last 5 fights right now. And he just looks, so slow, so not great. I think he's on his way out. He's been through a lot of wars in his career. And I'm going to go with Moreno here. I'm going to go with the big underdog, and I think this line should be much, much closer. Moreno's 30 years old. He's in his prime. I know he's not the best fighter, not the most well-known fighter, but what he's going to bring is toughness. What he's going to bring is volume. He's going to bring a war. And like I said, he lands 5.5 significant strikes per minute just about. That's going to be a lot more than Pettis brings to the table here. And I just think he's going to outland him, outvolume him, just work more than Pettis. I think the smaller cage definitely favors Alex Morono in this fight. And if Alex Morono can get takedowns, use his ground game, he's not going to submit Pettis or nothing like that. Maybe he does, but he's going to take him down, just wear on Pettis. And I really like Morono as an underdog here. I really do. So I'm going to pick Morono to win a volume-based decision here. And like I said, I'm not all that impressed with Pettis at 170, and I think this is going to be a very, very close fight. I can honestly see it going either way, and you're giving me like plus 190 odds, plus 200 odds on a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Give me Alex Morono. And I know a lot of people are going to hate that pick because I bet we have a lot of Pettis fans out there, but we got to admit, like, Pettis is definitely on a steep decline. He really is. And you can talk crap about Alex Morono. A lot of people think that he's chinny. Going back and watching, like, he has a lot of toughness. I don't think he's chinny whatsoever. I mean, he got starched by Chaos Williams in the first couple seconds. He got knocked out by Nico Price. Like, those are two very, very heavy hitters, and those are his only 2 knockout losses in 24 fights. I mean, Pettis has been knocked out 4 times. So I'm going to take Morono here to edge out a very close decision. It's all going to be up to what the judges, what the judges are seeing that day. Are they going to favor the volume of Morono, the toughness of Morono? Because he will be landing more strikes. That's 100% for sure. He's going to be landing the more strikes. Or will they favor the more flashiness of Pettis, the more, less volume, better looking strikes of Pettis there? And I'm going to edge out to Morono here to get it done based off of volume alone. All right, so taking the underdog in there, that's 2 underdogs in a row, and let's make it 3 underdogs in a row here. I'm going Marcin Tybura, and this is going to be a very unpopular pick. And it's weird I say that because, man, a lot of people, when Greg Hardy was coming into the UFC, they hated this dude. I mean, everybody was picking against him left or right. I have not got a Greg Hardy fight wrong, believe it or not, as of yet, and hopefully it continues here. But Greg Hardy is 32 years old, 6'5", 80.5-inch reach, 7-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Marcin Tybura, 35 years old, 6'3", 78-inch reach, 20-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds, and I see a ton of love for Greg Hardy, a lot of confidence in Greg Hardy. Hardy minus 120. Tybura is plus 100. And yeah, Tybura's been looking really good as of late. I believe he's won his last 3. And watching tape on Hardy, what I was looking for was, can this guy stuff a takedown? Has he faced takedowns? And there wasn't much of that, but what I did see was Alan Crowder was able to take him down a couple times. He took him down, got in a really dominant position. I think that if Tybura took down Hardy, I mean, it's going to be over shortly after, honestly. And Hardy looked like a fish out of water against Alan Crowder. And in that fight, I remember it was like a illegal knee, and I believe turned into it was either a loss or a no contest for Hardy there. But yeah, Alan Crowder, I mean, I think if that illegal knee didn't happen, I think Crowder was probably going to win that fight, believe it or not. I thought it was a really close fight, and Crowder was having a lot of success against Greg Hardy. But man, if Tybura can go out here and fight smart, close the distance, get a takedown, and watching tape on Tybura, he has some really solid wrestling. He really does. He's a black belt in BJJ. He has a ton of fights on his record, 26 fights compared to Greg Hardy's 9. And I know Hardy's improving each and every time. I'm very impressed with the guy. I really am, 32 years old. But man, if Tybura can get him down, which I do think he will, it's going to be big trouble for Hardy because, like I said, I think this dude's a fish out of water. And I'm sure he's making improvements in his ground game. But if Tybura can, clinch him against the cage, take him down, get into a dominant position, maybe even find a sub as well. We just haven't seen Hardy face much adversity, you know what I mean? I mean, he went out there and lost to Volkov, in a kind of a decision where he couldn't really get much going. I believe he hurt his hand or something in that fight, but if Tybura can come in here with the right game plan, I do think he's going to win. I'm going to say he finishes Greg Hardy. Hot take here, bold prediction. I'm going to say he's going to finish Greg Hardy in that 3rd round. Hardy does not have a great gas tank. Tybura, his gas tank's not much better, but still, I do favor the gas tank of Tybura over the gas tank of Greg Hardy, especially if he's taking him down. Like, that's going to wear Greg Hardy out. So I'm going to take Tybura here to get it done, and I'm going to probably get a lot of hate for this pick because I see a ton of love on Hardy. Could he come out here and knock out Tybura in the 1st round? Sure he can. But I'm I'm going to say Tybura fight smart, gets this fight to the mat, and submits Greg Hardy in round 3. Really looking forward to that fight. So that was 3 underdogs in a row. And are we going to make it 4 here? I think we are. So Jillian Robinson versus Tala Santos. And we have Jillian Robinson, 25 years old, 5'5", 63-inch reach, 9-4 and 4-1 in the last 5 fights. Tala Santos, 27 years old, 5'6", 68-inch reach, 16-1 and 4-1 in the last 5 fights. So Santos is going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, and she's going to have a 1-inch height advantage as well. Taking a look at the odds, and Robertson is going to be a slight underdog at -105. Santos is going to be -115. So almost a pick 'em there. And yeah, this is a really tough fight to call. I'm going to go with Robertson here to get it done. I'm just so impressed with Robertson. She's making tons and tons of improvements. Her striking is not there yet. She's working on it. It's getting better. But what I really like about Robertson is she knows what her bread and butter is. She goes out there and she's relentless with the takedowns. If she does not get the takedown, a couple seconds later, she's trying for the takedown. And that's what I like in a fighter, to go out and implement your game plan. I mean, don't go out there and do something you're uncomfortable with. Go out there and use that bread and butter of the takedown game, of your jiu-jitsu, and get it down to the mat. And that's what she does. She averages 3.25 takedowns for 15 minutes with a 50% takedown accuracy. I actually think she has really, really good takedowns. And if she gets this to the mat, she's going to have a lot of success. Just got her black belt in BJJ. And she's an absolute savage on the mat, hence the nickname, the Savage there. And yeah, Tala Santos is very interesting. This is a very interesting fighter. Before coming into the UFC, she was, what 15-0, something like that. And she went in there against Mara Morella, and I have to bring this up. I mean, it's fresh in my head. I cannot talk about it. She went in that fight, went to a very close decision. Some thought she won with Mara Morella, but what I did see was Morella take her down twice. She was very hesitant in the striking. She did not throw as much as, hence the Molly McCann fight after that. But she looked like a completely different fighter in that Barella fight than she did in the Molly McCann fight. And that's why so many people were on Molly McCann, because we thought maybe Santos is an absolute fraud, because if you're getting beat by Barella, maybe you are a fraud. And she went there against Molly Meatball McCann as a pretty sizable underdog, because people bet McCann all the way up to like -200, which I guess, and looking back on it, it's absolutely insane, because Santos looked like a completely different fighter. She looked fantastic. She was throwing a ton of volume. She was throwing with power. Her takedown defense looks fantastic. She was even going out there and getting takedowns herself, and I was just in shock, because that was not the same fighter I watched against Mara Barella. But I guess she had an interview. She said she had really bad nerves and something like that. So I don't know. Will she have bad nerves this time against Jillian Robinson? I don't know. So we don't. I mean, some question marks there, but. I think this fight's going to go one of two ways, and that's why this is a pick'em. If Santos is able to stuff the takedown, she's going to knock out Robertson. Robertson probably does nothing on the feet for Santos here, and we've seen Robertson knocked out, I believe, twice before. Once by KO, once by submission, and one time she got knocked out in the Ultimate Fighter. So twice in her career, once officially, but yeah, we've seen her knocked out before. We've seen her quit if she can't really get her way, and she's gotten better of that as of late, but still. She's more of a kill or be killed fighter. So looking back at Robertson's last 10 fights, and her last 9 out of 10 have ended inside the distance. The one going to the distance was her last fight against Patelio. So the 9 fights prior to that, she's either getting the finish or getting finished herself. I really like the fight doesn't go to decision here at plus 155. I really like that line. Because I can see one of the two things happening. If Robertson's able to get it down, maybe she finds a sub. Because I do think she has the better ground game here. Or maybe she gets a TKO victory. Or if Santos is able to stuff the takedowns, she's probably going to get a knockout. So I'm more towards leaning to the side of Jillian Robinson here. I think she's going to get the fight down to the mat. And I think she's going to get Santos out there. I'm going to say TKO in round number 3. Getting Santos out of there. But would I be shocked if Santos was able to stuff the takedowns and knock out Robertson? Not at all. But if anything, instead of betting aside, maybe take a look at the under in this fight. Because like I said, Robertson's more of a kill or be killed fighter. So give me Jillian Robinson by TKO or sub, whichever one, inside the distance. All right, so getting into the next fight, and I believe that's 4 underdogs in a row. Can we go five underdogs in a row here? And the people that always comment on my videos, you don't pick enough dogs, they're gonna love this one because I'm going 5 underdogs in a row. Marlon Moriah versus Rob Font. Rob Font is 33 years old, 5'8", 71.5 inch reach, and this is huge here. He's going to have a 5.5 inch or just a 5 inch reach advantage here, and he's 17-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And yeah, so this fight is very, very interesting. I think that reach advantage of Font's going to play dividends in this fight. I think that the output and volume of Font is going to play dividends in this fight. Just watching tape on Font, like I was very, very impressed. Very good boxing, very good combos. Is able to press his opponents against the cage, land these very nice combos there. And Moriah, let's see the line here. Moriah is, if I can find it, -145, open up at -150. Rob Font is +125. And I was all over Sandhagen in his last fight. I think I got Sandhagen as like a slight favorite. He closed around like -150. Got Sandhagen in his last fight. And I had the under as well, so both those hit. Prior to that, he fought Jose Aldo in a fight that a lot of people thought that Jose Aldo won that fight, including me. And I had Moriah winning that fight from like a betting standpoint. But yeah, I thought Jose won that. And then before that, he looked really good in the first round of Henry Cejudo, and then Cejudo ended up finishing him after that. So he's been on kind of a skid here. Arguably could be, 0-3 in his last 3 fights. And I don't know, it's kind of a tough fight. I think that for Moriah to win, he's going to have to get a finisher. I don't see him taking down Font. Could he take down Font? I think he could. It's just not something we see Moriah do much, and I think this is going to primarily play out on the feet. I think that Font's going to be landing more volume. Of course, you got to worry about the leg kicks of Marlon Moriah, but Font's going to be throwing more volume. I kind of worry about the durability of Moriah at this point. Moriah has been knocked out twice. He's been submitted once. And the big thing here for me is Font is very durable. Font has never been knocked out, and Font has never been knocked down. So for that reason, I'm going to take Rob Font to win a decision here. I wouldn't be shocked if he knocked out Moriah as well. I'm going to pick him to win by decision. And not a bad underdog play there. I haven't bet it myself, but if the line gets any wider, I might take a look at that because I think this could play out a little bit close, but you got to favor the volume of Font, the boxing of Font. But like I said, you got to kind of worry about those leg kicks there. But Font for decision for me. All right, taking a drink. This is a ton of fights here. All right, so this could be fight of the night. And 2 very, very exciting fighters. Michel Pereira versus Chaos Williams. And Pereira, he is 27 years old, 6'1", 73-inch reach, 24-11, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Chaos Williams is 26 years old, 6 foot, 77-inch reach, 11-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So I'll come out right and say it, like Chaos Williams has been screwing me. Picked against him against Alex Moreno, went out there and starched Moreno in 20 seconds. Picked him against Alassane. He went out there and knocked out Alassane with a dang jab. And I'm done picking against the guy. I'm done sleeping on the guy. He's a completely different fighter from on the regional scene. Like watching tape on him prior to the UFC, he leaves so many openings. He's not really a knockout guy. He's winning a lot of decisions. And, very not technical, is very looping punches, leaving himself wide open. And he comes into the UFC and he's getting these finishes on solid guys. Moreno and Alassane especially, was not expecting that. And on the flip side, Michel Pereira is somebody who I was waiting to fade. I was waiting to fade this guy because watching tape on him before his UFC debut, doing backflips, dancing in the cage. Like, come on. And then he comes in there against Danny Roberts, I believe, went out there and knocked him out in like the first couple minutes. I was thinking, okay, maybe he's the real deal. His next fight went out there against Tristan Connolly, doing backflips and stuff during the fight and gasses out after that first round. Connolly was able to get a decision win there, and Connolly was like a weight class below Michel Pereira there. And then after that, he went out there and got DQ'd against Diego Sanchez. I think it was like an illegal knee or something, where I was all over Pereira in that spot. But Diego took that DQ win there. And then, of course, in his last fight, he was able to go out there and get, I believe it was a submission in the 3rd round. And he looked good. He really looked good. I think there was like minimal messing around there against Imadaev. And he looked really good. So, I don't know. This is a very tough fight to call, and it's kind of a pick 'em or close to pick 'em for a reason. Pereira is going to be minus 125, and Chaos is plus 105. I'm going to go with the guy that I can more so trust in Chaos Williams. I can't really trust Pereira to go out there and not do these backflips or not gas out, jump off the cage, do breakdance before the fight, breakdance during the fight. You can't trust him. And Chaos Williams, he looks legit. I mean, he has some legit power. I think in the small cage, it's going to favor Williams here. Pereira's not going to be able to run around, dance around, jump around in the cage. And Pereira needs to use that distance to kind of, stay away. I don't think he's going to be able to do that as well in the smaller cage here. I don't know if Williams is going to knock him out. Pereira's very tough. Both guys are very tough. Williams has only been knocked out. Well, he's been knocked out 0 times. Pereira's been knocked out once. So I think a sneaky look is maybe the over 1.5. The over is set at 1.5. I think the over is not a bad look here. But I'm going to take Chaos Williams to win by decision. And that's something he said himself in an interview. He said he's going to probably win by decision here. He thinks that both guys are going to respect each other's power. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I think both guys are going to respect each other's power, kind of stay back. And I think Chaos is going to win a close decision here. But if anything, maybe look at the over 1.5. I think that's not a bad look. But probably not betting a side here either way. So, man, was that like 5 or 6 underdogs in a row? I think Chaos was an underdog. Am I correct there? Yep, Chaos is an underdog. So, lots of underdogs on this card. And like a lot of these fights can really go either way, honestly. There's not really any big favorites. I mean, Rick Glenn's a big favorite. Bilal Muhammad is a big favorite, but he's off the card. All right, co-main event here. And, man, Jose Aldo versus Marlon Chito Vera. Jose is 34 years old, 5'7", 70-inch reach, 28-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Marlon Vera, 28 years old, 5'8", 70.5-inch reach, 18-6 and 1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So, taking a look at the odds, I want to say I'm kind of surprised, but I'm kind of not. Jose Aldo's is minus 145. Marlon Vera is plus 125. Aldo opened up minus 160 there. And I don't know. I think this line honestly should be wider. I mean, we got to take a look at the level of competition. I think that's a huge thing here. A lot of people think that Jose Aldo is done. I really don't think that. I mean, he's not been looking awful in his last couple fights. He really hasn't. In the first couple fights of the Peter Yan fight, he was very competitive. I know he got finished in that 5th round, but he was competitive in those first couple. Marlon Moriah, he lost in that split decision. I thought he won that fight, and I had a bet on Marlon Moriah. Alexander Volkanovski, I mean, he didn't do awful in that fight. Before that, Renato Moicano, Jeremy Stevens, Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, Conor McGregor, Chad Mendes. Like, he's been fighting the best of the best. And then Marlon Vera, I think he's getting, like, overhyped in this spot. I really do. With that knockout on Sean O'Malley, somebody that maybe isn't someone, we thought he was there. And before that, lost a decision to Yadong Song in a fight that I thought he won. Beat Andre Yol, Nolene Hernandez, Frankie Saenz. So you just see a big gap of competition. This is going to be Vera's biggest fight to date, and it's really not even close whatsoever. And just what is Vera's path to victory? And a lot of his fights, he does good fight to the mat, has a very good ground game, and I just don't see that happening here. Aldo has a 90% takedown defense. His takedown defense is like one of the best takedown defenses I've ever seen. And I just see this fight being a 15-minute fight where they're going to stand and strike with each other. And how does Vera win that? How does Vera win that type of fight, striking with Jose Aldo for 15 minutes? I don't know. I really don't know. He's not going to take Aldo down. And I'm going to pick Jose Aldo to win here by decision. And I think the decision prop's not a bad look. Marlon Vera is not going to be finished. He's never been finished in 25 fights. So I actually think that decision prop is not a bad look on Aldo. Or even the fight goes to decision or the over, probably over 2.5 it is. So I'm going to take Jose Aldo to get it done here. I think Vera's being overhyped here, and that sucks to say because I'm a huge Marlon Vera fan. When this fight was very first announced, I was about to hop on Marlon Vera, and after you get into the tape, I don't know if he's there yet, and I don't know if Aldo is at a complete decline yet. Obviously, he's declined, but I still think he has some gas left in the tank, and a decent amount, too. I mean, he hasn't been looking awful, like I said, and he's been fighting the best of the best guys. So, give me Jose Aldo by decision, and it might be a potential bet there. It really might be. And then finally, the main event, we have Stephen Thompson versus Jeff Neal. And Stephen Thompson is 37 years old, 6 foot, 75-inch reach, 15-4-1 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Jeff Neal, 30 years old, 5'11", 75-inch reach, 13-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So taking a look at the odds, Jeff Neal is -120, opened up +140, which is interesting. Wish I got that +140 line. Stephen Thompson is +100 now, opened up -170, which again is interesting there. And as far as the fight goes, kind of leaning towards the Neal side. He's the younger fighter. He's going to be 7 years younger. Watching tape on Neal, what I really like is just how much volume he throws. I really like the combos. I like his striking defense. He puts his hands up after he lands these combos. And I think the smaller cage is definitely going to favor Neal. I don't think anybody can argue that, because Thompson is somebody who likes to kind of use his karate style, stay on the outside, use his kicks, use his punches to keep range, keep distance. And Neal's has the ability to close in at range, land combos inside and stuff. And yeah, I like Neal here. I really do. 49% accuracy for Jeff Neal compared to 44% accuracy for Stephen Thompson. Thompson has a 59% striking defense compared to Neal's 65%. And I know there's a big gap in the level of competition, but I really think Neal's ready for this. I mean, watching tape, I think that the dude is absolutely legit. Stephen Thompson in his last fight went out there and beat Vicente Luque, and Vicente Luque and Neal are two completely different fighters. I think Luque is extremely tough, but Neal has a extremely huge speed advantage on him, output advantage on him. Before that, lost to Anthony Pettis with that Superman punch at the end of round 2 there, which is crazy. Lost the unanimous decision with Darren Till. Beat Jorge Masvidal before Masvidal was really good. And before that, Tyron Woodley decision loss, and then a draw with Tyron Woodley. And in that Woodley losses and in the Till losses, he's so low volume in those fights. And like the last fight against Luque, he landed a ton of significant strikes. I think that was probably the most he's ever landed. And he's gonna probably have to do it here to stay competitive, because Neal is going to be throwing a ton. And I do favor Neal because he is going to be throwing a lot more volume than Thompson here. And I don't know, Thompson has been dropped like 4 times in his UFC career. He was dropped, I believe, twice by Tyron Woodley. Once in the draw, and then once in where he lost it by decision. And he obviously was dropped in the Pettis fight, and he was dropped in one more really earlier in his UFC career. But they call him Hands of Steel. They don't call him Hands of Steel for nothing. This dude packs a lot of power. Jeff Neal does. And I'm going to say he knocks out Stephen Thompson in the first, I want to say second round knockout. But I really like Stephen Thompson here. I'll be rooting for him, but I'm definitely going to pick Neal here. I think he's the younger fighter, the hungrier fighter. And I'm going to say he's going to knock out Thompson in the second round. So that's about it. Going to recap the picks here. I have Jeff Neal, Jose Aldo, Chaos Williams, Rob Font, Tybura, Jillian Robertson, Alex Morono, Pani Kianzad, Carl Roberson, Antonio Hoyo, Draco Rodriguez, Tafon and Chukwu, Jimmy Flick, and Rick Glenn. Thank you guys so much for sticking through. I mean, we got the timestamps, but if you did stick through, shout out to you guys, because this video was very long. And I just want to thank you guys for 9,000 subscribers. Not there yet, but by the time you guys are watching this, probably hit that 9K. Thank you so much. It means a ton. Hopefully get 10K in the near future. That would be awesome. Again, thank you guys for signing up on Patreon. It really helps me out a ton. Like I said, almost 100 new people signing up on Patreon. If you are interested, the link will be in the description below. You get the model with all the stats for each and every fighter. You get my early bets. We beat some lines. My betting breakdown videos that are posted shortly after the bets are placed. My betting article, access to Discord, got a great community going in on there, and looking forward to 2021. It was a very good 2020. All my bets are tracked. I did start tracking my bets a couple months ago. You can check that out. The link is in my Twitter. And I have had a really successful, start or finish to 2020 as well. So hopefully ended out with a bang here. I have 4 bets already, and going to have a lot more than that. And that's about it for me. This video was long. Ready to go to bed, and yeah, I'm ready for this card, ready to make some money, and good luck, guys. You know where to find me. Twitter is DFS by the numbers, Instagram DFS by the numbers, and yep, good luck.